It is Tuesday, the 16th of June, and I'm sitting in my office in sunny Cape Town. And yes, it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day today, which makes for a change because we've had a lot of rain in Cape Town and stormy winter weather. So it's wonderful to be looking out the window, seeing blue sky and gorgeous green trees, and the birds are singing, and it's a beautiful day. What is today? It's the 16th of June, and in South Africa we celebrate, or rather commemorate, Youth Day on the 16th of June. This is in remembrance of the 1976 Soweto riots, when the youth rose up against Bantu education and were slayed down by the apartheid regime police. And we commemorate the youth on the 16th of June in South Africa. It's something that I absolutely love about youth, this belief, this absolute passion and belief that we can live in the landscape of possibility, that we can have an equal and beautiful world, something that we should all continue to fight for. I'm living at the moment in a home with two young girls, my daughter, Christy, who's 22, and her best friend. We've been in lockdown together. And it's just beautiful to see the passion of youth and the belief that we need to keep on fighting for what's right for the world. And the fact that they haven't yet numbed themselves to the pain that life brings. It's one of the things we do. We go and sit in our comfort zones and numb ourselves to what's going on in the world around us in many different ways. And youth don't do that. So today is Youth Day, and we commemorate and really pay tribute to the generation of 1976 in South Africa. There's this wonderful book called The Art of Possibility, and I just wanted to read you a quote from the book that says, "If I were to wish for anything, I should not wish for wealth and power, but for the passionate sense of what can be, for the eye which ever young and ardent sees the possible. Pleasure and comfort disappoint. Possibility never does." Well, I love that quote. So, I know that today was supposed to be Pippa and I, but as we know, because we are authentically resilient, life happens. So, me and my family, as you know from the first chat we had, have been in lockdown for a very long time because we started before the rest of South Africa to try and keep Stuart safe because he has cancer and we just need to be that extra bit careful. So we went into lockdown early, into a very strict lockdown. A week ago, we literally lifted our heads for the first time and we saw family. And the very next day, we discovered that Ali, Stuart's older sister, is coronavirus positive, is COVID positive. So we are back in quarantine. Ali, I can tell you, is doing well, thank heavens. But we're back in isolation for 2 weeks. Hence, I couldn't see Pippa and we couldn't do our Facebook Live together. So the question and answer session has been moved out to another time. But if you have any questions, please feel free to send them to me and I will do my best to answer them this morning. Today we're continuing to debunk the myths of authentic resilience, of which there are many, and we've been through many of them, and today we're talking about myth number 8 and myth number 9. So myth number 8 talks about how building resilience is a one-off event, and there does seem to be this belief that once resilient, always resilient. Well, I can tell you that that's not actually true. Authentic resilience, as we know, is something that's born from within. It is a capacity that you develop, that you nurture, that you grow, and it's an ongoing process. It takes intentional work on a daily basis, and it is, in fact, a daily practice. So I can tell you that in my own journey, there have been moments where I have felt very resilient, and it's a great feeling. And there are other moments when I don't feel resilient at all. When I don't feel resilient, all I need to do is go back to our tools of authentic resilience that we teach in our course. I look through those 10 hours and all the tools that we teach, and I look and I see, what am I not doing at the moment? And every single time I can find something that I'm not practicing. And if I put that practice back into place, I feel a little stronger. I feel a little better. So our self-care practices, our wellness techniques, that whatever it is that works for you, need to be employed on a daily basis in order to stay resilient. It's not a once-off thing. It's not something that you just, it's not like a badge that you put on, I am resilient. It is something that takes ongoing work. And life happens, it constantly happens. It constantly throws things your way. Life includes suffering. It's not all beautiful. It is exquisitely beautiful, but it's also cruel. That is part of life. And I think that we need to remember that it is something that you need to constantly work on. So why do we debunk this myth? Because if you feel that you are quite resilient, that you are quite strong, that you've really done the work, and then you go through a period in your life that you are feeling vulnerable and really battling, that does not mean you're not resilient. It is part of resilience. It comes in waves. It's not a one factor all at one level. What it does mean is that you probably need to take a good hard look inside and do the reflection and say, what am I not doing? What are my resilience practices, my wellness practices? What am I not doing? And usually, I don't want to speak to everybody, but for everybody, but usually it's the self-care practices that seem to fall off first, because people who are very resilient seem to have extremely high expectations of themselves and kind of think they can just keep going, which is part of resilience. But authentic resilience means you really need to also learn to take care of yourself and take care of your needs. And so that's what you need to do. Have a look around what your environment, your self-care practices, what it is that you're doing, and really think about, what is it that you're not doing? I'm just having a look here and saying hello to everybody who's watching. Thank you for being here. Wonderful. Myth number 9 says that we only need resilience in times of trauma. Well, we just need to look at history to know that that's not true. We always need resilience. And I think that the coronavirus has really reminded us of that. It's also reminded us that we are, as humans, completely interconnected, worldwide, and that life is not just about the fun stuff and the beautiful stuff. Life is also about suffering, and the whole lot comes together in a package. And so integrating that into part of our life is really, really important. Very often the smaller day-to-day adversities and stresses call on resilience. There's no hierarchy to suffering. Yes, obviously, in times of great adversity and times of great trauma, we really need resilience. But actually, for simple day-to-day living, we also need resilience. We need to be able to stay in the world in a way that is engaged in order to really feel its beauty. And what does that mean? That means living with an open heart. And living with an open heart means pain of some sort. And if you allow yourself to have empathy, if you allow yourself to feel, if you allow yourself to be human and feel the interconnectedness, there's no way you're not going to feel the suffering. And there's always suffering around us all the time. Corona has absolutely highlighted because of the way that it's felt around the world, the inequality between countries and even within countries that exists within countries. It's all around us all of the time. So resilience is something we need simply to face day-to-day life. I love this piece that Dr. Edith Eger, I'm going to read this to you, The Choice, by Edith Eger. She says here, I also want to say there is no hierarchy of suffering. There's nothing that makes my pain better or worse than yours. No graph on which we can plot the relative importance of one sorrow versus another. People say to me Things in my life are pretty hard right now, but I have no right to complain. It's not Auschwitz. That kind of comparison can lead us to minimize or even diminish our own suffering. Being a survivor, being a thriver, requires absolute acceptance of what was and what is. If we discount our pain or punish ourselves for feeling lost or isolated or scared about the challenges in our lives, however insignificant these challenges may seem to someone else, then we are still choosing to be victims. We're not seeing our choices. We're judging ourselves. And she writes, I don't want you to hear my story and say my own suffering is less significant. I want you to hear my story and say, if she can do it, so can I. And Dr. Edith Eger, she won a Nobel Peace Prize, and she survived the Holocaust. It's the most extraordinary book, and you should read it if you haven't read it. Absolutely beautiful. So that was myth number 8 and myth number 9. Myth number 8 saying that building resilience is a once-off event. Once you've got it, that's it. You are resilient. That's not true. It's an ongoing daily practice, and you need to be committed and intentional. Myth number 9 says that we only need resilience in times of trauma. Just look around you. We need resilience every single day. The small things, the small stresses can just add and add and add our layers of stress until there comes a point where there's a tipping point. It doesn't have to be a big once-off event. We need authentic resilience all of the time. So that's myth 8 and 9. I do want to tell you, I am going to address up 1 or 2 questions that people did send to us. I'm going to address those, but I just wanted to tell you that at the moment we are running quite consistent authentic resilience online courses. Our next one starts next week, and it's in the evening. So what we've realized is that some people want daytime courses and some want evening courses, and the evening courses are much better for people who try to work and do childcare during the day. So this one starts next week on Monday the 22nd. There are 5 2-hour modules, and it's all online on Zoom. And if you want to book a place, we are running a competition at the moment that the 5th, I think it's the 5th or the 7th person, I can't remember, anyway, who signs up for the course gets their course for free. So please feel free. All you have to do to sign up for the course is to email info@theresiliencefactory.com, info@theresiliencefactory.com, and to book your course. So that's 5 2-hour modules. They take place from 7 till 9 at night, and it's the Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the following week. But we will send you all the details. So send an email to that address, and we'll send you all the details. And it's wonderful because we have people from all over the world on our courses at the moment. I tell you what, we were quite resistant to going online because there's something about the energy of being with people in the room that we love, obviously, as coaches. But it's been an extraordinary learning experience, and amazing that there are so many pros that we hadn't even thought of. And that is one of them, that people from all over the world can actually join our courses, and that you can sit in the privacy of your home and do the work. Plus, because there are now modules and it's not all in one day, there's opportunity to let the work sink in between the modules and to do the homework in between the modules. So we have found those to be really great pros for the course. So if you're interested, please email info@theresiliencefactory.com. Lastly, I did receive a few questions that were going to be for Pippa and I. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, Cindy. The course is brilliant. I found it exceptionally useful and enlightening. Really appreciate that. Thanks so much. So the question around vulnerability, it just keeps coming up. So Mary from Plumstead, who sent us a question about, I just don't understand why you say, in fact, what she said was, I don't understand how you can use vulnerability and courage in the same sentence. Well, okay, so Dr. Brené Brown talks constantly about there is no courage without vulnerability. And if you haven't read her work, you really should read her work. The way she explains it is this, and think about it, it's true. When have you ever seen, witnessed, or done yourself an act of courage that didn't require vulnerability, which basically is risk of emotional exposure, uncertainty and vulnerability. Well, no, there's no such thing. And in my experience over the last 5 years, there have been incredibly painful moments of vulnerability after Jenna's death, after the experience of 6 months of ICU, after the PTSD left me feeling incredibly vulnerable. Being able to embrace your vulnerability and to engage with it and to allow it and to sit with it and to work through it is what builds the capacity for courage. That is how you get there. There's no stepping over or around, you have to go through. So being able to, and all of us, every single human on earth has vulnerability. When we suppress it, turn away from it, we don't build courage. It's a pretense. It's false. It's maybe bravery, but not courage. Courage is essential for authentic resilience. It's born of the heart. So being able to sit with the conflicting emotions, being able to hold those moments of vulnerability, being able to allow them is what builds the capacity for courage. So Mary from Plumstead, I hope that I've somehow answered your question. It's been wonderful to talk to you all today. So just to recap, I see there's a message here from Pippa. Oh, sweet. I miss you, Pippa. I wish we were together answering questions, but and also Pippa and I plan to go away this week to do a whole lot of work on our course and on deepening the course, because very excitingly we are thinking about getting the course online. So as in you can download it and have it for life. So we're working towards that. So watch that space as well. But in the meantime, we are running our courses live on Zoom. And as I said, info@theresiliencefactory.com. So wonderful to chat to you today. That was me, Gabi Lowe, debunking myths number 8 and 9. No, building resilience is not a once-off event. You need to keep on working at it. And number 2, we don't need resilience just in times of trauma. We need it all of the time. So I wish you an engaged, open-hearted, courageous, or vulnerable, whatever you're feeling today, welcome it all. Beautiful day. Lots of love from me and from Pippa at the Resilience Factory.